Hello everyone and welcome to Middle Level Methods. I'm your host, Dr. Turner, and in this course we'll be talking about the problems specific to middle level teaching and how you can alter your methods so that you can reach this very endearing and simultaneously aggravating demographic. A little bit about me. I started out teaching drama in high school, which was interesting and fun for me. It was a private school, so I had a lot of privileged kids. This school was on the East Coast in Northern Virginia. And so when I made the transition 4 years later to teaching English at a public middle school in Utah, the difference was absolutely shocking to me, and I was not prepared for it. And it wasn't just that the content was different, because teaching English is radically different than teaching drama, even though there's overlap. It was the age. I was not prepared for the age group itself. And back in the day, there was no special training for middle school, and if you would have asked me then, I would not have looked for a middle school job, but it was available and I applied. And I was suddenly inundated with these human beings that I forgot I was. And it turns out that I had a blast. I stayed in the middle school for 12 years, and it was the single most fun age group I have ever taught in my life, and I have taught every age there is at this point in my teaching career. So my first sell for you is that middle school is wild, and it is also wonderful as we go into this class. Another thing I want you to be prepared for in this class is the course setup. During the class, because this is zeroes in on methods and not just where the kids are cognitively and developmentally, we'll talk about this, but because of this focuses on methods and how we actually reach kids, we'll be asking 3 questions through the whole thing. Number 1, who are these students? What are their characteristics? How do we reach them? Number 2, what are the best practices? And number 3, who am I? As a teacher, as a human being, who am I? And this may seem like a superfluous question, but it is not. At no other time in students' development do they watch you quite as closely. They will notice your shoes. They will notice your makeup. They will simultaneously pretend that you do not matter, and they will watch you very, very closely. They will care more about their peers than anybody else, but they will care about your enthusiasm. And when Parker Palmer makes the argument that it's not so much what you teach, but that you teach who you are, at no point is this more important than in middle school teaching. So one of the things you really want to ask yourself is, what am I doing in this profession? Why am I here? What kind of work do I want to do? That's a big question, and you need to know more about that than that you want summers off, because that's kind of how I started. And you're going to be more inspiring if you have something else to say about that. So the next thing I want to say is that the course, although we're going to be asking those 3 questions all the way through, the course is actually divided into 2 parts. In the first part, we'll be working our way through Rick Womelli's book, Meet Me in the Middle. This book is good not only because he gives you a good overview of the students at this age, but he gives you some good general methods. During this time, we'll start building the pieces of our lesson plan, our middle school specific lesson plan. During the second part of the course, I will have you in groups specializing in one kind of development and discussing how that informs your methods. Books that will be appropriate for this time, you will read a different book depending on which group you decide to sign up for. More information of this on this will come later on in the class. But books that you may pick from are the following. Eric Jensen's Teaching with Poverty in Mind, What Being Poor Does to Kids' Brains and What Schools Can Do About It. Madeline Levine's The Price of Privilege, How Parental pressure and material advantage are creating a problem. Notice that these two books are focusing on class as something that may inhibit or enhance instruction in middle school. Linda Pearlstein's book, Not Much Just Chillin', The Hidden Lives of Middle Schoolers. Very popular book. Basically, it does descriptive research in which Pearlstein wanders around and just interviews kids and talks about what's important to them, so you kind of crawl into their psyche. There is Al Sachs's Boys Adrift, 5 Factors Driving the Growing Epidemic of Unmotivated Boys and Underachieving Young Men. If you're interested in boys and the ways that they're socialized and the ways that boys learn best, that's a book you might pick. There is Odd Girl Out if you're interested in girl dynamics. There is Beverly Tatum's Why Are the Black Kids Sitting Together, that focuses on race. And there is Paul Tuff's How Children Succeed, which focuses on teaching students non-cognitive skills such as like grit, like how to stick with the task when the going gets tough. So the second part of the course, the last 4 weeks, will be devoted to your individual groups and what you take away from these that add to what you learn from the sort of general methods and information about middle school kids. The most important thing I can tell you right now is, first of all, to ask questions if you have any. Please don't get behind. Please let me know if you're struggling. Please let me know if you're not sure what to do in a module. Online classes are frustrating because we're always trying to deal with each other over this interface. So please let me know. The second thing is to follow directions and read the modules thoroughly, because I will ask you to do slightly different things every single time. Even though you'll have sort of a regular thing, you'll see the Sunday night synthesis is something that you will do every Sunday night. But each module is slightly different. It's textured differently. You will answer the questions differently. So please read them carefully. Ask questions if you're not sure about anything at all, and please keep in touch as we go on this middle level journey together.